Yay, it worked. Hi guys, this is Allison from AllyKatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work at Connect, an epiphany, a mind-blown moment, new books to read, new authors to explore, artwork to look at, oracle card readings, please look down in the comments, the little section bar underneath the video, not the comments. Sorry, brain fart. All the links to find me are there to support me. Hi. And I got new pyramids and I just got this lovely done with my hair attached to it. Inexpensive Valentine's Day gifts. And for those that celebrate that, it's a good gift. It's homemade. Check me out at AllyKatzkreations211.com. Thank you. And email me if you're interested in anything, because you can just gander and look and to buy. So before I start this next reading, I had a really fun afternoon. I got to spend some time with the K9 unit of my town's police department today. I backed the blue. They have the cutest K9 unit ever. And because it's small, it's not that big, I got to meet two of the doggies there. And I asked them if I could get them to do like picture portraits of them just taking a picture of the dog's face up close, that I could do like an actual portrait for them to put up in the police station or wherever they would like. Being that I was in New York City for 9/11 and I lived in Staten Island and had a commute all the time, and the National Guard and the local NYPD had their dogs in the ferry by the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel and a lot of other places besides the dogs that went in to go find people. I have an affinity for those kind of dogs. I love dogs, don't get me wrong. I wish I can have them. I just is no room. And I'm more of a cat person, but I do love dogs too. And I wanted to go support my community and my county and my police department. So I got this spiffy hoodie with a really cool dog on the back with the patriotic flag. And yeah, very fun. So hopefully they get me some portraits so I can draw them and then I'll show you guys. Today's menu. Sorry guys, I got a function here. Oahspe. And I want to thank those of you who got through the video with every mispronunciation you can imagine known to man. I do apologize to those who really enjoy and love this book. It's extremely frustrating. Yeah. We'll see how far I can get without getting frustrated. I'm trying to do my best here. The lower part usually seems to read a lot quicker and a lot easier than the top part. Just saying. So I'm going to pick up where I left off. I'm going to do 3 chapters for the bottom, 3 chapters for the top. It's a lot of reading, so bear with me. It's gonna get good, I promise. I know this section very well, and I didn't read it. So we're going to start with chapter 4, the book of the Arkaban. The word of Jehovah Orsman came to Calypia, saying, Son of heaven, hear thou the voice of ever-present. Calypia asked, How sayest thou, the ever-present? Jehovah Orsman said, Behold me, I am not of the king's laws. I am the maker of kings. They have made a law against me, the ever-present. They have scattered my people. They have denied my people the right to obtain knowledge. Calypia said, My eyes and ears have proven these things. What shall thy servant do? Jehovah said, Thou shalt deliver the slaves unto freedom and provide them places to dwell together according to the laws of the ancients. Calypia said, O Orsman Jehovah, why hast thou put this upon me, thy servant? Thy gravest thou not such matter into the hands of the Variks? Faithist. Jehovah said, Thou art thyself of the race of Faithist, and has been prepared for this labor for the time of thy birth. Go thou and find thy nurse that cared for thee in infancy. And when thou hast her alone, say to her, Nurse, the voice of heaven hath come to me, saying, Calypia, thou art of the race of the Faithist. How sayest thou? And the nurse will say to thee, my son, alas me. Thinkest thou I would be thy death, or thy mother's death? For this is not such the law. Calypia went and inquired of the nurse, and she said to him, my son, alas me, thinkest thou I would be thy death, or thy mother's death? For is not such the law? Calypia answered, such is the law. But tell me the truth, and I swear unto thee both under the name of Deus and under the name of the God Jehovah Orsman, that thy word shall be secret with me as the God's will. Am I an adopted Variks? The nurse said, Behold, thou hast loved me all thy days. From my own breasts wert thou fed. Shall I then lose thy love, and so die of a broken heart? Then Calypia made oath before the gods, and thereafter she answered him, saying, I am thy mother, O prince. The angels of the ever-present came to me in the moment thou wert born, and carried thee into the queen's arms, and the king knew not, even to this day, but thou wert his. Calypia said, Why hath this been done unto me? The nurse said, Hearken, O prince. The king's wife was barren. The king desired a son, and who should be heir to the throne? Calypia interrupted, and thou barteredest thy flesh and blood with the queen for this? The nurse said, Patience, O prince. I am of the race that owneth only one king, the ever-present. Respect me, therefore, till thou hast learned the whole truth. The angels of Orsman came to me before thy birth, saying, Alas, the chosen people are persecuted and abused, scattered and despised. But because they are faithful and most virtuous, the ever-present will come and deliver them. Then I said unto the angels, What is the matter to me? Behold, I am myself but a servant, and can do nothing. Then the angel answered, saying, Thou shalt have a son, and shalt call him Calypia, and he shall be the deliverer of thy people, for which purpose he shall receive great learning. But because great learning is denied to thy people, thy son shall be adopted by the queen, and the king, believing it is his own son, will render unto the child learning and power also. And I said unto the angel, Flesh and blood of me are nothing, if I can thereby serve Jehovah Orsman. Calypia said, Since thou committest me to thy God, then I am indeed his. Now whilst they were yet talking, Jehovah spake to Calypia, saying, I am not come to give new doctrines unto men, but to rescue my people from bondage and to restore equal rights unto the inhabitants of the earth. For this purpose wert thou, O Calypia, sent into the world, because thou wert of the race of the Faithists. My voice hath come to thee. because the king imagineth thou art his son, and loveth thee dearly, thou shalt not suffer from his hand. Go then whither I will lead thee, and it shall be testimony to thee that I am the ever-present, moving them by means of the Spirit to come to thee. In due time the prince departed from home, not advising the king of his purpose. He went as Jehovah led him, and came to Hosagwoth, near the river Vesuthat, where there was a forest with meadows intercepted, and he found a camp of 4 families of wandering faithists, and they were famished with hunger and were ragged. The prince, seeing they feared him, said, Be not afraid, I come not to persecute or drive you hence. As ye perceive by my dress, I am a prince. Judge ye not me to be your enemy, come to destroy you. For by the same power you were led hither, am I come also. This land do I bequeath to you to be yours forever. Cease ye therefore traveling about, but again until the soil. Yatithaka something like that. The rabbi said, How sayest thou? Thou wert brought hither by the same God, then of truth thou knowest the signs and passwords. Clypeus said, None of these things have I learned. But even as there is a legend amongst thy people that one would come of Jehovah and restore his chosen people, so declare I unto you, I am he, that thy ruler is my ruler. Take me in private with thee, O Rabbi, and even ever present will give the signs and passwords, and thus prove me. Moreover, I say to thee in prophecy, 3 suns have risen and set. There shall come to this place hundreds and hundreds of thy people. Now, when the rabbi had examined Callipia and found that he had the signs and passwords, he wondered exceedingly. The prince then caused wood and stone to be laid in the form of a crescent, and in size was sufficient for seats for 100 people. He said, This is the altar of Jehovah Orsman. Let us sit this night, for the Father's voice is with me. During the day, many more came, but so by night there were 100 men, women, and children. And the prince commanded them to sit about the altar of Jehovah. And presently the voice spake in the midst of the altar, saying, This is my son, of whom it hath been prophesied. One would come to restore my people. Behold, I am the ever-present, and not in the figure or image of a man, but I am the all space and place, doing my will through my angels and through the souls of men. Be ye steadfast in righteousness works, and love toward one another, and just to affection with all other peoples. With you will I establish myself, even as in the ancient days with your forefathers. Callipia then appointed the oldest rabbi as chief of the altar, and this was the first established family community. Since many of 100 years, this was assured by a prince that they should not be driven off. On the next day, the prince took the people a little way off, about a half an hour's walk, and he said to them, Build ye here another altar, for yet ere night comes, there shall come others even here. Let the ever-present have an altar provided unto them. Accordingly, the people fell to in faith and built another altar. And when it was finished and the sun gone down, there came many wanderers, faithists, to this place. Philippius said unto them, Come ye to the altar of Orsman, for he desireth sacrifice, worship, of all whom he blesseth. And they went in and sang and prayed, giving thanks to God. Jehovah said, Suffer him I have sent unto you to build 3 more altars at like distance apart. For I will bring my people together for 3 places of sacrifice. On the next day they came many more wanderers, who had escaped from the provinces of Anayasion, where a warrior was being carried on against raiders from Tibet, the high mountain region. And Callipia built altars for them also, and to them he also appointed rabbis and chief rabbis. Now behold, they were without food, and many have been famished for many days. Calypia, perceiving that some of the people were suspicious of him, said unto them, Whoso hath faith in me of Jehovah, let him stand with me this night, for the Father will manifest unto us. Not more than 40 came to the place designated, for their feared Calypia was an impostor. And when they were assembled, Calypia tried them, and found of a truth they had faith. And he said unto them, Stand in a circle and join hands, and I will stand in the midst. Yet I know not what the Great Spirit will do for us. And when they were thus standing, Jehovah sent a cold wind, and there came down from heaven an abundance of ahoma, sufficient to feed the whole of the people for many days. Neither knew any man of what ahoma was made, but it was savory and nutritious. And the people came and ate, and also gathered up the ahoma and carried it home. Calypia said unto them, Because Orsman hath done this, go ye into the altars and return thanks unto him. And the people did as commanded, and from this time forth not one of them lacked faith in Calypia. And thereupon he said unto them, This place shall be called Maksabi, for it is the first colony in all the world where the Father hath fed his people with his own hand. So the place was called Maksabi, which is in Vedic would be Sutahaksisi. Kiki? Sorry. I speak with food. Again, I told you I'm not good with pronouncing things. For 40 days, Calypia remained in Maksabi, teaching and helping the people. On the 40th day, he said unto them, I go now, the Father desireth me. Be ye faithful unto Jehovah, and maintain the sacrifices. Worship. The eye of Jehovah is upon you. His ear heareth not only your spoken word, but the thoughts in your hearts. In time after this, I will come again unto you and restore your rites and ceremonies. Jehovah said unto Calypia, Even as thou hast taken in Hazagwareth, so shalt thou do in Tibeteth Pilarath. For either will I also bring my chosen from the province of Ustra, something like that. So Calypia went to Tibethic Kilrath, where were assembled more than 700 faithists, and they feared him, saying to one another, Is this not someone sent of the king to entrap us? But when Calypia beheld they feared him, he said unto them, He who hath faith in Orsman feareth nothing in heaven or earth. For the Father appointeth a time unto all peoples, nor can they make it more or less. Thortana and one of the rabbis said unto Calypia, Art thou indeed one of us? Calypia said, Because I am as I am, I cannot answer thee. If I say I am of thy race, then will not thy people be restored to liberty, for I would suffer death. Being a teacher of thy people, if I say I am not of thy race, then thy people will not have faith in me. I say unto thee, I am but a man, even as thou art, neither am I pure and good, for there is but one pure, the Creator. Therefore put the faith in Jehovah, and therein my words and my labors are good. Render unto me even as to any other man, nor more nor less. And yet even as thou believest in the ever-present, so do I. As thou believest not in a man God, so do not I. Are not all men brothers and created by the same Spirit? Because the kings acknowledge not this doctrine, thy persecute and outlaw thy race. To restore the people who are my people also, am I sent into the world. My labor is now upon me, and for that purpose I am here with thee and thy people. This land around about I bequeath unto the faithless, and they shall settle here and till the soil, and reap the harvests, and shall not be driven away. And in time to come, I will provide teachers, and the faithless shall have the light to obtain knowledge. Calypia built altars for the multitude, saying to them, First of all, Thou shalt dedicate to God all things thou puttest thy hands to, for without the rites of bestowal upon the Great Spirit, thy people cannot be in harmony. To neglect the rites is to neglect all things. Know ye the doctrines of the ancients. None of the rabbis can answer Caligula, and so he said, Orsman provided you servant with great learning. For this I am sent to you. Know ye then the doctrines of the ancients, even from the time of Zarathustra and Brahma. To rise with the sun, to bathe the body once every day, to eat no flesh nor fish, to pray to Orsman at sunrise, at high noon, at sunset, and before lying to sleep. Certain philosophers, wise in vanity, said to rise an hour after the sun is no sin. To bathe one day in 7 is sufficient. To eat fish flesh, which is of cold blood, is no sin. Now, behold, it came to pass that they laid in bed 2 hours. They ceased to bathe altogether. And as to eating, they halted not with fish flesh, but ate of all flesh. And sin came upon them. By their behavior, they cut themselves off from the Father. Be ye scrupulous in following the text, and as to him that openeth the door for disobedience, have nothing to do with him or his philosophy. Caligula asked, why doth one man a good act rather than a bad act? Why doth another man a bad act rather than a good one? The rabbi said, the first is the speech of Orsman. The second is the speech of Satan. For as this dwell in men, so do they manifest. Caligula said, I am pleased with the answer, for which reason I had before commanded you to build altars and do sacrifice. For these are the expressions of your souls, which testify you rather would serve the Creator than the Destroyer. This was also of the ancient doctrines of Zarathustra, but certain other philosophers, vain in self-knowledge, said, cannot a man worship in the soul, and without building an altar of stone and wood? And the multitude hearkened unto them. And they afterward went further and said, why worship at all? So they fell in darkness. A soul without an outward expression of worship standeth on the brink of hell. To see an altar as we pass along, henceforth upon us, the thought of worship and of Orsman, the Creator, it leadeth the soul upward. To see evil or the temptation of it is to lead the soul toward darkness. Therefore, let man and woman be discreet of their persons, but make the altars of sacrifice numerous. Caligula asked, what is the first poison? The rabbis knew not how to answer, perceiving Caligula had great learning and wisdom. Caligula said, the first poison is self. One man saith, rites and prayers are good for the stupid and unlearned. I need them not. I say unto you that the man is drunk on the first poison. Let not his breath breathe upon you, for he entereth the wedge of destruction. Caligula said, what is the second poison? But when he perceived none would answer, he said, the first leadeth to the second, which is desire to lead others and rule over them. Atai, one of the rabbis asked, how can we get on without leaders? Caligula said, suffer no man to lead you. Good men are expressions of the all light. Caligula asked, what is the best and yet the most dangerous thing? Some replied as to one thing and some as to another. Caligula said, the best and yet most dangerous thing is speech. To talk of good things, of delights, of love, of Orsman and his wonderful creations, of life and death, of everlasting happiness. These are good speech and give the soul great happiness. To talk of evil, of dark deeds, of one's neighbors, of disgusting things and words, these enrich Satan's harvest. Pause. Once again, I don't necessarily agree with everything that's in this book, but that last part definitely is something I say all the time in my videos. My spiritual soul advices. You're feeding the devil when you keep enunciating all these horrible, negative, gross things that are going on in the world. Certain 3 men traveled through a great city, and they returned home, and the neighbors assembled to hear the story of their travels. One of the travelers related all that he saw, good and bad. Another one related only all the bad things he saw. And the other one related only the good things he saw, that the delights and most beautiful things, which now of the three say ye doeth most for the Father's kingdom. The rabbi said the last one. Clepius said, true, be ye then like him, even to one another. For by this course only is speech not dangerous, but of profit unto the world. Sufficient is the number of evil men to relate the evils in the world. Relate ye the good. For by constantly walking in clean ground, ye shall remain clean in word and deed. Search ye both spirits and men, not for the brilliancy of speech, for often its brilliancy hideth its poison, or stealeth on the senses unawares, but search their words as to holy ideas and good delights, to make men rejoice in his life. He who harpeth on deceivers and liars and debaucheries is a fireman for Satan's hells. Reply not to him, lest your speech become snare to entrap yourselves. There's a lot of truth in that last part said. I just say it in different wording. For 3 years, Caligula traveled all over the land of Venue, east and west, north and south, establishing the faithless wherever he found them. And he donated to them whatever lands laid waste and not tilled, but he touched not any land whereon other people dwelt and tilled the soil. And it came to pass, the servants in the provinces fled from their masters and went and dwelt in the places of Jehovah, to so great an extent that the governors and sub-kings complained against Caligula, and he was reported to Yokovrana, the king-in-chief, Caligula's foster father. And the king sent a commission summoning his supposed son to the capital to answer the charges against him. When Caligula was before the royal council and demanded by the king why he had come, Caligula said, the servant of the great king answereth, his words are bound words. Whatsoever cometh out of Caligula's mouth, Caligula holdeth as his. There be such as to maintain that man whose tongue is moved by the spirits of the dead is irresponsible for his words. Caligula creepeth not through so small a hole. To be master of one's flesh and desires and passions and words, these are great gifts indeed, Caligula professeth this. Therefore Caligula bindeth himself in every word. Know then, most royal council, servants to our great king, Yokovrana, Caligula was summoned here by the king to answer certain charges made by members of the royal council. These charges prefer that Caligula hath founded certain colonies, which have attracted away the servants of the sub-kings and of the rich, and thereby sowed disobedience in the remainder. Caligula is come to answer these charges. Hear ye then Caligula's answer. Caligula, being heir to the throne, besought the king for leave to travel, and the king said unto him, whatsoever thy soul observeth that may be good for the united kingdoms, do thou. Said not the king this? Yokovrana said, yea, my son. Thereupon Caligula said, when Caligula traveled near and far for 9 years, his heart was sick because of the misery of the poor and the glory of the rich. He beheld many forests and many plains where no man dwelt. And he said to himself, let the poor come hither and live. Yet he called not any poor man. Was it then an evil for Caligula to say this to himself? The king said, surely not. Then Caligula went on. After a long season of idleness, Caligula went the second time to travel. And when he came to the forests and plains, behold, the poor were gathered together, and yet more coming. So Caligula went amongst them to show them how to dwell together wisely. Was this an evil in Caligula? The king said, nay. Of a truth, it was good. Then Caligula said, in a little while they discovered it was good for them to dwell together and to help one another. And the news spread abroad. whereupon the servants of the governors and the rich ran away from them. It is not just to say of the king and the governors and rich men that they are driving their servants away from themselves because of hardships which are greater than the hardships of the gods. The king said, a good proof. But why sayest thou the gods? These people for the most part believe not in the gods, and many of them I hear are believers in the Great Spirit. Clypeus said, thou sayest truly, O king, but that is their matter and not Clypeus. The king said, thou art right, my son. But how sayest thou of education? Shall not the laws be maintained? Clypeus said, art thou the king, or merely the servant of the dead? Shall Clypeus call him father, who is only a servant to carry out the laws of the dead? If so, then hath Clypeus sinned against the law. But hear ye, who are of the great learning, do ye obey one law of the ancients and not another? The law of the ancients was that with the dead of the king all laws died, and whoso became king afterward must need make new laws of his own. The law against educating the faithless is a law of the ancients, let Clypeus accusers find which they will. For if they stand by the laws of the ancients, then indeed have we no laws, and no kings nor sub-kings. If they repute the laws of the ancients, then Clypeus hath not sinned against any law. Yokorvana said, thou art acquitted, Clypeus. The laws of the ancients cannot bind thy king nor the king's kings. Touching these matters, and the royal council shall make new laws. And since Clypeus hath not convened any law, neither shall the new laws interrupt the orders of the state as they are now. Because of Clypeus' presence in the royal chamber, the power of Jehovah and his angels were great in the house. After this manner that followeth were the speeches of the sub-kings and governors to permit great learning to the faithless, is to overthrow Deus and his reigning gods and lords. For by great learning will the faithless ultimately become members of the royal council. Therefore, at all hazards, great learning must be prohibited. Great learning is inimical to good servitude. Jehovah said to Clypeus, be thou present when these laws are passed, for by the means my holy angels will rule over the royal council for the good of all men. For 100 days the royal council discussed the matter, but the angels of heaven kept them divided as to opinion and belief, so that no law was passed by them. Now, after they had thus wasted much time to no purpose, Clypeus asked permission to speak before the king and the council as to what was wisdom in the government of the nations, and it was granted unto him. This was the followeth, is then the substance of Clypeus' speech. And we're going to hold it there because we'll read that next time. Now we're going to read the top portion. Fun times. Top of the book where I can never pronounce barely anything correct. Jehovah spake in the light of the throne of Caer Sac in Veda Husia, saying, Lika, my son, this is my road and my journey. With thee and thy hosts, my voice shall travel with power on the earth, while I lay my foundation in spirit and word. The companion chiefs and chieftainesses shall go with thee. They shall help deliver the inhabitants of the earth and her heavens. My enemies have marked their labors in temples and pyramids. Because their hearts rose not up to me, they descend into stone, the most dead of all things. They have carried the inhabitants of the earth down to rottenness and to death. Suffer their monuments to stand as testimonies of them. They hated me, that denied me, that believed not in me, the all person. My building shall be the most subtle of all things, the spirit of my own body. Verily shall it be a monument within the souls of my chosen, nor will it go away again in darkness, but it shall encompass the whole earth. For thou shalt find my chosen a scattered people, persecuted and enslaved, the most despised of all the races of men. But I will show my power with them. I will raise them up, the things I do through them, and the words I speak through them, even in their ignorance and darkness, shall become mightily. Their words shall be treasured forever, and none can match them in wisdom or of speech or in the craft of good works. But the learned men of all other peoples shall be forgotten. Their wisdom be like the wind that bloweth away. The self-gods and self-lords that led them astray shall be as a serpent that biteth itself unto death. Yea, as long as their pyramids and temples stand, their own falsehood shall stare them in the face. They have bound themselves in their own bulwarks. They shall yet be my laborers thousands of years to undo the evil they sowed on the earth. Nor shall they look down from heaven and behold with joy their temples and pyramids. But as one beholdeth a coal of fire burning in the flesh, so shall their edifices cry out unto them forever, thou false one, and it shall be to them a burning fire that will not die out. And their great learning, even of the stars and the sun and moon, and of all things of the earth and in the water, shall pass away and be remembered not among men. Yea, the names of their men of great learning shall go down, with none to remember them on the earth. And in time long after, the nations of peoples will forget them and their wisdom, and even pity them, and say of them, what a foolish person, what foolish people, sorry. But my chosen who are their slaves and are as nothing in the world shall speak, and their words shall be forgotten, shall write, and their books will be a new foundation in the world, because my hand will be upon them, my wisdom shall come forth out of their mouths. And this shall be testimony in the ages to come, as to what manner of knowledge endureth forever. For as the buildings of the earth remain on the earth, and the spirits of them that incline to the earth rise not up, so have I bound Kippur in Kippur. But as I planted the quickened spirit of men in men, with spiritual knowledge, so shall spiritual knowledge look upward for an everlasting resurrection. Lika asked, O thou highest Jehovah, what are the preparations of thy gods? Wherein shall my hand be strong on the earth? Jehovah answered, saying, for 6 generations aback hath my God prepared unto thee and thy hosts. My voice was with my God, and I said unto him, my son, behold, the time cometh in 6 generations where I will bring the earth into another dawn of light. And in that day will I bring my son Lika from my Etherian worlds, and he shall come with a mighty host of Etherians with great power. Go thou, my son, down to the earth, and with thy Lewis, thy masters of generations, raise up an heir unto thy voice. In 3 great divisions of earth, provide thou 3 servants to do my will. So my son, God of Khrushchev, have raised up unto thee, O Lika, 3 men, Calypia and Sheen and Moses, the fruit of the 6th generation in the lands of their fathers, and they are of the faithest in me, holy men and wise. To thee shalt thou send the gods of their forefathers, ever they who were beaten away by the gods of evil. And Calypia shall deliver the faithest of Vinu, and Sheen shall deliver the faithest of Jaeth, and Moses shall deliver the faithest of Egypt. And this also shalt thou put upon Moses and his people. He shall lead his people westward, and their heirs after them shall also go westward. Yeah, westward until they circumscribe the earth. 3,400 years shall thou allot to them to complete the journey. And wherever they go, they shall establish my name, Jehovah. They shall lead all people away from all gods to believe in the Great Spirit, who I am. And when they have carried my name to the west coast of Guatemala, North America, and established me, behold, I will bring the earth into Cosmon, and my angels shall descend upon the earth in every quarter with great power. And it shall come to pass that the faithists of the children of Moses shall find the faithists of the children of Shin, and the faithists of the children of Calypia. And all these people shall cry out in the day, no God, no Lord, no Savior, for my hand will be upon them, and thy And their words shall be my words, but they will proclaim me, the great spirit, the ever-present Jehovah. And they shall become the power of the world, and shall establish peace and put away war, leading all peoples in the way of peace, love, and righteousness. Oh boy. Veda Pusia is Lika's Etherean regions, made glorious by Jehovah's light and by his purified sons and daughters, whose heavenly mansions match unto their great perfection, was now quickened with great joy. The trained host of Jehovah's son, Lika, knowing he was to take reaction by a journey to the red star, the earth, to deliver her unto holiness and love, provided music and heralds and trumpeters, millions of performers to claim their reverence and rejoicing. The fire ship, the Arvanga, now adorned in splendor, was brought into its place, and the vast host for the journey entered into it. A roadway was preserved for Lika and his companion chiefs and chieftainesses. First to lead, oh, here we go. And the Rapon hosts were the chiefinesses Yun Odi and Thazid, and they walked arm in arm. Next after them came Lika alone. Next came Rebsad and Thorzo, arm in arm. Next came Maanti and Horzad, arm in arm. Then came Chama, Jais, and Mordana, arm in arm. And then Ozard and Yehoha, arm in arm. Then Guango and Jehogan. And after them, Rahim, I don't know how to say that, and that one either. Loud swelled the music of the chiefs marched forth, more than 1,000 million in concert song to Jehovah, and echoed by the far-off trumpeters. And when the chiefs entered the ship, followed by the ship's laborers and firemen, all was motionless till the music ceased. Lika walked upon the high ark, and stretching up his hands to Jehovah, said, I go forth in the name of the wisdom and love power, O Jehovah. The great heavens which thou hast made full of glory shall bear me up. The spark thou gavest unto me will I quicken in thy sight. Thy hand is upon me, thy arm encompassed my ship of fire. In thee I know it will rise and course these worlds to the red star. Sail with thou hosts triumphantly unto labor for thy glory. Arise, O palace of the firmament, by the power of Jehovah dwelleth in me. Upward, onward, arise. And now with one will the host join in, and the laborers and firemen stood to their places. A moment more, the Aravanga raised from its foundation, steered toward the red star, and moved forth over the fields of Veda Pusia. 100,000 banners and flags floated and waved from every side on the great ship of heaven, and was answered by more than 100,000 more in the hands of the hosts below. The ensuers of the ship struck up a quickened march, joined by the millions beneath, whilst the great multitudes tossed up their hands and shouted in prolonged applause. Thus went forth Lika, son of Jehovah, to the red star, the earth. As Lika in his ship sped on, coursing the fields of Sonasat and Hattar and Yaks in the Etherean world, Chin Ogoetha, rich in the light in these regions on the Yangui road, now traversed by hundreds of vessels, coursing hither and yon. Jehovah's light descended on the high ark in the midst of the Rapans, and the voice of Jehovah spake out of the light, saying, as I taught Corporeans to build ships to traverse corporeal seas, so have I taught Etherians to build vessels to course my Etherian seas. As I bound the Corporean that he could not rise up in the air above Corpore save by a vessel balloon, so created I my heavens for the spirits of men, that by manufactured vessels they might course my firmament. For the little knowledge I gave to Corporeans, I made as a type of knowledge, which is everlasting. To the Corporean I gave two kinds of presents, objective and subjective. By the latter, he can imagine himself in a far-off place, and thought that proceedeth out of him goeth to a friend and speaketh understandingly in the distance. For thus I created him. But he who goeth objectively must take his person with him. So created I him. And I magnified these two conditions unto the spirits of all men, and they might also appear objectively and subjectively in the places known to them. And this is the bondage I created unto all places on the earth and in the heavens thereof, making all men understand the power of objective association. I created wide seas of the corporeal earth, that man should perceive that one man alone could not cross over, nor in a small boat, with any profit under the sun. Neither created I my heavens in the firmament that one angel could go alone on long journeys, becoming isolated and powerless. But I provide them that they could not escape association. Yeah, I created the firmament that they must congregate together and go. Nevertheless, I gave freedom unto all, to him that goeth not objectively to go subjectively, but of little avail and not much truth or profit. And because I give this liberty, behold, even Drew Jazz would say, yeah, I have been there, nor know they how to rise up from the earth or go to any place, save another shoulders. And I created man and angels that all knowledge which is to be everlasting must be obtained objectively. Yea, in the experience of his own person I made I him to desire without end. And I fill my seas in heaven and earth with their great ships, with wants that cannot be satisfied in one place created I man. For I drive him forth on strange errands and on missions of profit and love, for I will store him with knowledge of my works. Yay! We finished this for now. Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protection energy. Please be safe, be seen. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so already. And again, all the links for my website and all the fun things that I do are below, and that's how you can support me. Just giving a little FYI, I have jury duty on Monday. Hooray! Not, but I don't know what goes on in Indiana. I knew what was going on in New York. Couldn't get out of it. So I got to go, and don't know what is in the future. So there might be a couple of days where I'm going to be held a little back from doing videos because I don't know how long this stay is going to be, or when I get home, how exhausted I'm going to be. So just giving you a little fair warning. I'm trying to keep consistent as best as I possibly can. Life is getting in the way. That's okay. Please have a wonderful, fantastic rest of your weekend. And I hope to see you on the next one, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.